The most recent Dragon Ball Z Kakarot DLC is perhaps the shortest one yet, especially if you try to speedrun it. My first try was already under 20 minutes, and after some optimization, we were quickly making sub 15-minute runs. With a world record on the Bardock as well as the Trunks DLC, ignore that guy, it's time I finally tackle the newest DLC, the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. The run starts with Kid Goku versus King Piccolo, and the strategy is pretty simple. Attacks into dodge cancel into more attacks, and hope that Piccolo doesn't block too much. This is actually the strategy for a lot of these fights. Sometimes enemies will shine red like this, and all you have to do is time your defensive burst to stay in his face and keep doing these attacks. And he will often vanish at this point, so you blow him away and surge. And for some reason, you can actually interrupt the surge animation in this DLC by using the defensive burst. That's gonna be very useful in this run. Shoutouts to Ender King on Twitter for discovering this. And after Piccolo's health reaches this point, you're gonna throw one Kamehameha, which is cinematic thanks to the stun, and you need 60 ki to throw the next one, so quickly key charge and finish things off. That is one boss fight done. Skip a few cutscenes, and funny enough, when this title screen comes up, you have to wait a little bit before skipping the cutscene, otherwise it won't skip at all. It's very weird. This was discovered by that guy that I told you to ignore. I guess you could call him my Kakarot rival, and you bet we're also competing on this run right here. Now Goku is all grown up, and after skipping a few menus, we quickly run to this guy at the table and sign up for the World Tournament. This takes us into a section where you have to skip a full minute of cutscenes, and the biggest challenge here is to not fall asleep as you hold the square button to just fast forward, because you actually need to mash X during certain points of this cutscene, which means it's a great time to take a sip of your gamer subs. If you want to know why gamer subs, check out the link in the description below. Now this entire speedrun is basically 7 boss fights plus a small running section. We've just done the Kid Goku fight, so that's 1 out of the 7 done, and we're about to do the running section, which goes a little bit like this. We're gonna jump as close as we can into this bench, grab the meal ticket that's right there, and immediately go inside the restaurant and spend it on the ramen and rice course. This food is going to give us 300 XP, which is nothing really. What we're here for is the 25% attack bonus. That will be very helpful for the rest of the run. 3 big jumps later, we land as close as we can to Krillin, and it's time to start the tournament. 6 boss fights left. First up, Tien versus Tao. Now Tien has this awesome super move, which is the Machine Gun Dragon. If you just loop this move forever, Tao won't do anything in this fight. And it deals a ton of stun damage too. So if we just keep spamming this, he's gonna get stunned. But he's gonna get stunned before we get our surge. So we're gonna need to stop using the super and just go for some regular attacks, because what we want to do is surge right before the stun happens. By doing that, we are in surge and we stun Mercenary Tao, which means we're gonna deal a ton of damage. Now his stun is gonna run out before we finish him off, but you can just keep going like this and the fight should end before he ever goes into a surge himself. That's Mercenary Tao out of the picture, after which you're gonna skip a few more cutscenes. There's another title screen right here, and you gotta do the same thing. Delay before you skip. And now it's time for the semifinals. There are 5 battles left in this speedrun, and Goku vs Tien is already 2 of them. The first one is a 1v1, which I always start with an uppercut into air combo into another uppercut. All of this is guaranteed. What he does afterwards is random. And he bursted, which is probably the worst option that I could get, but it's not a big deal. This was way worse. He did Dodon Ray, and I thought I could go in, but the hitbox was still active. That wasn't very optimal, but the rest of the fight pretty much goes like this. You do a melee combo and dodge back because he always blocks on that same attack. So if you time your mash after dodging back, no matter what he does, you're gonna always catch him. Just gotta practice the timing on that mash and rinse and repeat until he tries to surge, which ideally you'll interrupt by stunning him. And that's exactly what happened in this run. That allows you to simply finish the fight before he even recovers, taking us into phase 2. For the longest time, this phase 2 was the run killer, but I think I have it solid now. It's Goku versus 4 Tiens, and I start with an uppercut that hits 3 of them. I key charge, going immediately for the surge, and sometimes you are able to catch multiple Tiens in the same combo while your surge is active. If you do that, that is optimal. But even if you don't, by just keeping one Tien up in the air, you're gonna deny the Tien surge like right here. You can see from the wavy effects on screen that the other Tiens just tried to use their surge, but it doesn't trigger because this one is in the air. So I'm able to finish not only 1, but 2 Tiens before my surge runs out. But that also means that the remaining Tiens are gonna go for a surge themselves. At this point, it's no longer an issue. If all 4 of them surge, that's a big time waste, but if it's just these 2, it's totally fine. And it is actually possible to interrupt this one as well, but it's tricky, and honestly, I don't know if it's faster. We finish off Tien number 3 while dodging some Dodon Rays, and that means his surge will soon be interrupted, so we can easily finish off Tien number 4. Look at him, he's exhausted, so you can just combo him over and over until you finish the fight. And just like that, the semifinals are done. All that's left is Piccolo. I mean Junior. So his skip the cutscenes of Kami fighting against him, you get to watch Piccolo eat the bottle in fast forward, you talk to the World Tournament guy, tell him you're ready, Piccolo says, and we interrupt him before he makes a lame Your Mama joke, and we're ready. This is the most straightforward battle. I start with feet Kamehameha to get in closer, and just mash to win, baby. Now with good RNG, Piccolo won't fight back, and you can just do this forever. And that's exactly what happened in this run, so I definitely appreciate that. It's not a big deal if he plays a bit more defensively and starts teleporting, you just have to have good reactions. You gotta use cancels and feet Kamehameha to chase him down whenever he does that, but it's always better when he collaborates like this. Skip a few more cutscenes and now you fight against Giant Piccolo. You basically just attack his foot over and over. I got stepped on here even though I tried to dodge, so that was unfortunate. But when he goes for an actual stomp, it's good if you dodge it and go back in with a special move like the feet Kamehameha. And when he tries to blow you away, you're just gonna use a defensive burst and stay in his face. And don't worry, he's just gonna throw some beams so he can't hit you if you're right below him. Before he even moves on from the beams, you probably stun him, so just keep wailing on that leg until he falls to his knees, and at that point your target will automatically go to his head. So cancel your combo and go for those air combos to finish him off. And believe it or not, there's only one fight left in this speedrun. I told you, 7 boss fights plus that meal run. That's really it. In this fight, your priority is to stun Piccolo as soon as possible. So I start by getting closer and using the uppercut. This is your biggest stunning ability. And every chance I get, I go for it again. So on knockdown or every time I know he's gonna be vulnerable and not blocking, I use that uppercut. And I got it off 3 times before he goes into this surge animation, which is really good. That means that after this animation, I can just go in for regular combos over and over, powering through all of his attacks. And I get the stun before he teleports away and start doing abilities in the air. From here, we can do all the damage we can, but you won't be able to kill him once he reaches this point. That means he's ready to unleash that final attack that ends the speedrun. But for him to do that, you gotta wait for the stun bar to return. As soon as it does, we use the feet Kamehameha to break Piccolo and hit square, which ends the speedrun. I think this was the fastest stun that I ever got on this final fight. I usually stun him when he's already in the next phase shooting stuff from the air, but those 3 uppercuts before the animation were really lifesavers. And this time gives me the world record on this DLC, but it feels like we're only getting started. I mean, we only just discovered the food tech in this run that saved us over a minute, so who knows how long this record will last, especially since there seems to be a glitch where you can play as Vegeta or Bardock in this DLC. And if people figure out how you can bring your high level character into this, then all of these fights will just be over much faster. If that ever happens, I don't think I'll keep trying to run it, because to me the speedrun was really fun. For as short as it was, it had so much tech. Each boss fight was different, and we were figuring out how to do them optimally. And that doesn't happen a lot in Kakarot speedruns. The Bardock DLC, for instance, was very similar to the Trunks DLC. So there's just something that's a lot more fun about this one, even if it is incredibly short. If the optimal speedrun becomes a glitch to bring in a higher level character and brute force your way through things, I don't think that will be as much fun. But if anything, I hope a run this fast encourages more people to run Kakarot. And if you do, I have only one piece of advice. Make a save file specifically for speedrunning before you finish any DLC. I have a 20-hour save file that I did specifically for speedrunning where I optimized all the community boards, and then I made sure to back that up on multiple save files so I never lose it. Because the thing about Kakarot is, once the DLC is done, there is no way to restart it from scratch. You can always replay the fights, but not the DLC as a whole the way that speedrunners do. So yeah, just make sure you get that save file, and then you'll be set for Kakarot speedruns forever. And if you want to see my Bardock speedrun, you can check it out right here. Thanks for watching. Bye.